Season 4 of Orange is the New Black. Now, for those that don't know, there's this history behind the women's prison series, the episodic stuff. Now, mainly it comes from Australia, and there's a present series, a recent series, Wentworth, which is also available on Netflix, as well as Orange is the New Black, which is available where it's available if you can see what. Anyways, the point being, you can watch TV. Now, as far as the credibility of it, it's obviously not an original show, but it's done with some significant changes. Americanized, as when they butchered Shameless. Um, but Genji does a little bit better job with it. This season, now, as far as I can recall, it's a lot different from some of the prior seasons. And yes, the Piscatella character is exactly what you find in a prison guard. Prison guards are not angels, actually, per capita. Prison guards commit as many crimes as the inmates they guard. They just have badges and protection, and a union, usually, to protect them. It's that thin blue. Anyone who uses the word thin blue line is a criminal that really is probably more guilty than the people they preach against. But anyways, it's got a lot of laughter. It's got some serious drama. It's got tasteful and explainable nudity. Except for, certain characters, which this is what gets me, is an actress will be on a show where they know that there's nudity. But they feel that nudity is exploitation, so that they'll only do partial nudity, which is actually more disrespectful to women than actually just not doing the show in the first place. If you really have that stance that nudity is exploitation, which means it's okay for a guy to do this because that's not nudity, unless, of course, you're in jail. And yeah, there's some real slip slop stuff here and stuff. But anyways, yeah, this this is publicly acceptable. But a topless woman is not in most cases. Again, places like New York City, as you know. Anyways, the plausibility of the show, the continuity of the show, yes, yes. 13 episodes. Actually, I mean, the biggest problem with the show is they try to cover all this material in a year time, and they have to lose so much stuff between seasons that, seriously, they could easily do 26 episodes a year and make it much more plausible. I mean, there's a lot of continuity errors. There are mistakes where you see things that were there on episode 7 that on episode 9 there's no sign that they ever existed, and they definitely leave a mark. I'm not gonna. You'll have to watch season 4 to understand, if you can even find that. And it's not those 2 specific episodes, but there's an event that occurs that leaves a physical, definitive mark that does no longer exist. And the carryover from season 3 to season 4, which I vaguely remembered, was good and interesting. Lots of cast changes. You have to, obviously, the first thing you have to understand, especially in a show like this, is there is no such thing as a commitment, a contract. I mean, basically, it's a prison show, like a mafia show. Every character has to be able to die at any time. And I'm not saying it does, or get released, get rearrested, there is recidivism. There's realities there. It's a federal prison system, but there's still a lot of things that aren't right because, it's a minimum yard, which is not necessarily true because you can't have life on a minimum yard. As far as I know, maybe that's just California. Maybe the federals are a little different. But you don't, there's places where you have gate passes and there's different levels of security, and murderers generally don't get into a dormitory which has access to a gate pass, which means they can go outside of the gate and work or travel or whatever. If any inmate can do that on your yard, then you're not supposed to have murderers there. Maybe, manslaughter, if it was reduced to manslaughter, but that's a technicality. As far as the show itself, it's good. The acting is solid, and the writing has some continuity errors, but they did improve it a little bit. The guards are actually now the criminals and the corrupt, and which is what is actually true, because I mean, you got to figure, if a guard can make $600 off a carton of cigarettes, and they only have to bring one carton of cigarettes in a week, and that's a huge bump to their salary, which is already exorbitant for the work that they do and their level of mental capacity. But anyways, Orange is the New Black.